Hello, I'm Paul.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Ben.
And welcome to the Filmbusters podcast. The film show with no filters, no prisoners taken, loads of disagreements, but one hell of a love for cinema.
If you want to hear three friends ridiculing each other for an hour or so regarding their taste in films, then you have come to the right place.
In each episode, one of the team picks a film for us to discuss. It could be anything from a recent cinema release to an all-time classic.
So, strap in and get ready to get mad or get vindicated as we guide you through the murky world of being a film geek.
If you like what you hear, you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram using @FilmbustersPod. You can also find each of our individual accounts. I'm at Filmbusters Paul.
I'm at Filmbusters Adam.
And I'm at Filmbusters Ben.
If you want to use your eyes instead of your ears, you can also visit the website at filmbusterspod.co.uk.
And if busting makes you feel good, you can also support us at patreon.com/filmbusters for exclusive content.
Or shoot over and get some groovy merchandise at society6.com/filmbusters.
Alright, can we just get on with this now, please?
Filmbusters. Hello, wonderful people. It's still the month of May, and we are doing our Re-Animator season. Are you ready for the next film, boys?
Have you watched it?
I've watched it, yeah.
I should hope we've all fucking watched it.
That'd be very unfortunate.
Yeah, we just have to carry on though, and the third person would just have to
just
mumble
pretend.
in agreement. Yeah, blag it.
The other two will have to fight to convince the other person what the actual rating of the film is.
It would be an interesting experiment. I wonder how long someone could bluff it. And you would come unstuck when it's like, now it's time for your 60-second review. You'd have to be really vague, like, I was with the film for the first half hour, and then, I don't know, it just went in a direction I didn't really like, and I don't know what you thought about the acting, but for me it really annoyed me, so I'll be looking forward to what you think, particularly about the ending.
Just tell me what you think.
Let's see if people can spot that.
Let's see, because I haven't seen this film, so let's see if you can notice.
There we go. But guess what? Tell the listeners, this is very strange for us, because we're recording on a Monday morning, which we never do.
Very
we record
strange.
on a Monday morning. And now we're doing it early because we're also going to be guesting on our Friends the Movie Journeys Pod v Pod episode, which should be out by now. It should be out. People should be able to hear it.
How wonderful.
Yeah, it's coming out on Friday, I believe.
I enjoy our questions, but that doesn't mean we're any good at answering the questions.
No, I know. And I don't believe we'll be able to work together. I think we have to go individually, so we'll see who the weak links are.
We never like to work together, we always fight.
I know. The thing is, Adam scored so many points on the quiz on the Filmbusters podcast, and he ain't going to be able to answer any questions on this one. He should be our best chance, and he'll be our worst chance.
Let's just put all our pressure on Adam, saying Adam's the one who's going to win it for us, and if not, then it's his fault.
Exactly. But that's to be recorded. Before we get to that, we got to revisit the world of Herbert West again.
We do.
Mr. West is back. Actually, Mr. West is Dr. West in this film.
He is, yeah. He's got his diploma, if that's what you get to be a doctor.
Guys, I just realised something. My mic is picking up my computer mic, not my Yeti mic.
Oh, that is pissed.
Adam, he's the youngest. He should be best with IT. He's
never
the worst. He's no good with electricals. He should have been born in the 17th century. You know what? He would have been like one of those waifs in the 17th century, those scoundrels, because he still would have been a scoundrel of a boy, but he would have been like hanging around on the docks, like begging for bread and stealing apples from passing stalls and tradesmen.
Stealing cockles.
The local constabulary would be after him.
He takes the cockles off the wall and just sucks the meat out.
God, full of scurvy, that boy.
Oh.
And he'd be saying that to the constabulary when they come to arrest him. Just 1 second while I finish this cockle.
Please. Doesn't even have a cockle fork.
And all the shopmen would be going, "You boy, get away from my truck. You've got no business to transact over there."
I imagine with like Frank from Always Sunny, and he's just saying the bad shrimp.
All of that should have stayed in the podcast. All of that.
I know. Now, I want you to apologise, Adam, to the viewing public or listening public about your horrible mic debacle.
Yeah. My mic was recording on my laptop mic, so you're probably going to hear the fan. You're probably going to hear loads of rustling. It's going to sound tinny. It's going to sound awful. But I was obviously the best person in that beginning section, so I made up for it that way.
Yes,
Okay.
he's the best person in the beginning section.
Of course.
Adam is on low energy because he's got to pace himself because we're recording for many, many hours now. So he's like, I can't blow my load too early.
Right, so before we get on to our wonderful review of The Bride of Re-Animator, we got to do our staple of every episode, which is the quiz. If you've not listened before, we do 2 questions about the film we are watching this episode, which is Bride of Re-Animator. They get 2 questions. If they get them right, they get points. If they get them wrong, I get the points as the quiz host.
And we've just come off the back of smashing another fellow podcasters or losing to another fellow podcaster, depending on what your opinion is on this.
Yes,
that's right.
If you're a pessimist or an optimist, depends whatever you.
We don't know the results yet, even though we've recorded. You're going to listen to this about a week after. You'll probably listen to that podcast.
Yes, I'm going to err on the side of caution and say that we got our arse handed to us.
Same.
I'm going to say we smashed them and they got their arse handed to them.
I'm going to say that we drew.
Drew.
Oh, that's no fun. There can't be no draws. There's 5 rounds. You can't possibly draw that, can you?
Well,
no, you can't.
Cricket.
There's 3. You win the rounds. That's it. Yeah.
Stranger things have happened.
Stranger Things season 4.
Exactly.
Has happened.
Do you want these? Do you want these questions?
Yes.
Just so everyone knows, Ben, you are on 11. Adam, you're on 18, and I am on 7. The first question's coming. Lieutenant Leslie Chapman lost his wife, who was later reanimated by Herbert. What was the wife's name?
Oh, Caroline. I have no idea.
No.
Debbie.
Just put generic. It was Elizabeth.
You always ask people's names. I should pay more attention.
Yes, he loves to ask the names. Paul loves to ask the names.
Well, it's things you should remember and pick up on.
Well, he got the point.
If Ben can't remember somebody's name in a film, there's no need to remember that person's name in the film.
Well, poor Elizabeth. I got a point for once.
Oh, Paul, your first point in a long time.
Yes. Well.
If we can stop Adam from scoring, it's the first time he hasn't scored in an episode in ages. We need to do him in the morning more often, clearly.
Oh, do him in the morning, yeah.
I'm still hungover and sleepy.
Sleepy. 10 to 11, but sleepy. This is the man who normally gets up for work at like 4 o'clock, but he's sleepy
I'm on
at 10
holiday,
to 11.
boy. I'm in full holiday mode. I'm off work, so...
How long are you on holiday for?
Until the 24th of May.
Oh, Lord.
Jesus.
What a delight.
I've got to take all my annual leave I haven't taken last year.
It's all right for some.
That's just truly scrumptious.
Yeah, it's scrumptious.
Chee bang bang. Okay, I quite like this question, so I hope you're listening closely to the film. But I want you both to finish part of Herbert's speech about blasphemy. Okay? This is the speech. It's one word you've got to remember. I will not be shackled by the failures of your God. The only blasphemy is to wallow in...
Nature.
Wrong.
I will not be shackled by the something of your God. The only blasphemy is to wallow in...
I would not be shackled by the failures of your God. The only blasphemy is to wallow in...
Grief.
Insignificance.
Oh, piss off. You're going back with the hard questions now.
That's a hard one. It's a good little speech he did, but it's a hard one.
It was a hard one, but you should have been listening.
2 points for Paul. I knew Paul would like that speech about atheism and fuck God. That probably made this film a 10 out of 10 after his hatred of the first one. Well done, Paul. 2 points for you. So what's the scores then?
So the scores are 11 for Ben, 18 for Adam, and now 9 for me.
Oh, you're getting close to me, son.
I'm getting close. Closer than close. Closer than you ever can imagine. It's close.
That's a very British garage reference. Any British garage fans out there?
Julio's a very British garage fan.
Yes, I would have thought so. Julio's now Googling, what is British garage?
What is closer than close?
Yes.
Closer than closer.
Adam don't know it.
No. He's just making up lyrics.
Close. Closer than close.
Anyway, that was good. Well done, Paul.
Thank you.
You were clearly paying attention to Bride of Re-Animator. Let's see
The
how
worst quiz
closely
that's
we
ever
were.
happened in a Film Busters.
What, because you didn't get the points?
Pretty much. So that's how I
Bitter.
rate the quiz.
I've been so easy on you lately that these questions are actually, you had to actually pay attention to the film. And now, just
Yeah,
because
but-
you haven't been paying attention, this is the one time you don't like the quiz. I think you're a sore loser.
Adam was looking at his phone instead of the movie.
And he obviously had earbuds in as well because he couldn't hear the film, because he didn't even have to look at the film to know these questions. Anyway, should we move on to the main event?
Let's do that.
Okay.
Down in here.
We created a life.
You made her?
Yes. Dead pieces of this. With my hands, I created what no man's mind or woman's womb could ever hope to achieve.
Blasphemy!
Blasphemy? Before what god? A god repulsed by the miserable humanity he created in his own image? I will not be shackled by the failures of your god. The only blasphemy is to wallow in insignificance. I have taken refuse of your god's failures, and I have triumphed. There is my creation.
Right, everyone, today we are talking about Bride of Re-Animator, the 1990 film from Brian Yuzna. This is a spoiler episode. We'll go straight into spoilers, no hanging around. So if you haven't seen it, you might want to watch it first and then come back. But, you know, you could just listen to it and be like really cheeky and not actually watch it and just let us spoil it for you. But who knows? First of all, Adam, you have to do a plot summary of Bride of Re-Animator.
Okay, so this one follows on. It's like 8 months after the first film, I think it said, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's 8 months after the first film had ended, and it's the two of them still doing Re-Animator shit. He's come back from the dead. We'll talk about that one in a bit. I imagine in our reviews or in our discussion about the film. But they are trying to bring back his girlfriend, who is played by a different actress to make it even more confusing. And yeah, they try and bring her back, and then he's also he's experimenting with everything else and all these other people from the morgue. And yeah, that's what happens in this film.
I'll drop some facts on you. This was directed in 1990 by Brian Yuzna, who was the producer of the first Re-Animator. It actually goes by the title of both Re-Animator 2 and Bride of Re-Animator, depending on which part of the world you're in. Yes, we call it Bride of Re-Animator over here. Okay. And it actually is still based on loosely the plot of H.P. Lovecraft's story, because that story was published in a serialized manner. So this is based on part 5 and 6 of that story, I think. Originally, the plot was for Dr. Dan Kane to get recruited to Washington to help reanimate the President of the United States with the help of Mr. Herbert West. And all the core cast from the first film, apart from Meg, largely returned to this film. The actress who played Meg, Barbara Crampton, has since said that her agent convinced her not to make a cameo appearance in Bride of Re-Animator, as he felt that it was beneath her to have such a minor role. And a bit of fact trivia that's interesting for like 3 people in the whole world, I'm sure. The person who did the special effects on this film is also the person who did the special effects for Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, otherwise known as the worst Halloween film, apart from Halloween Resurrection, actually. So there we go.
Well,
Lovely.
Very nice. Great facts there.
I'd rather watch the film. Well, I'm not going to say I'd rather watch the film. I'd like to watch the film where they bring back the president.
It feels like they missed a trick there. Apparently, they recycled that plot, and it was going to be in a film called House of Re-Animator, but then that film never got made.
Well, we should make it.
Well, I wonder what
Maybe.
Beyond. We don't know what Beyond's about.
We don't. Maybe the president is in it.
Maybe.
Depends what president it is, whether you'd want to reanimate them.
Trump.
Imagine a reanimated Trump. Oh, fucking hell. Horrible.
His hair would be even more shit than really.
Yeah. Oh, can you imagine disembodied head of Trump talking to his body?
Like a spider.
That's a horror film for you. Okay, so I think you said last week, Paul, that we were going to switch it around as we go. So this time, Adam, you were going to give your review first. Is that right? Or have I got that wrong?
No, I went first last week. It's Paul's this time.
This was okay.
Oh,
I was
see.
about to say this was Adam's responsibility to remember.
So last week it was. I'm pretty sure it was me, Paul, Ben. This time
It was,
it's Paul,
yeah.
Ben, me, and next week it's Ben, me, Paul.
Oh
Okay.
shit! You're making me go first.
Let's
So much
see
pressure.
him. Let's see. Now, listeners, you remember, just recalibrate, at the end of the last episode, we had established that Adam and I very much enjoyed Re-Animator. We both gave it an 8 out of 10. Paul wasn't so won over by it, and he gave it a 6 out of 10. So let's see what's happened here in the sequel.
Indeed. Where to start? So, this film had a dog that waved with a human arm,
Yep.
and Dr. Hill's head flies around with bat wings. I fucking loved it so much. If the first
Wow.
if the first Re-Animator is like the origin story, where they like define the science and boundaries of it, Bride of Re-Animator is where they really like push those boundaries and have like so much fun with it. I think it's truly brilliant. I'm so glad that our theories about Megan didn't come to fruition, because creating like a botched version of her with different body parts from like exceptional people in the world just adds to that brilliance of the film. And it also allows like Dan to lose himself that little bit more and become a bit of a creep himself, which was great. And the effects were on point and in glorious abundance, which I love. They minimised the use of exploiting women and created something quite tasteful, if you could call it tasteful, that is. But and I like that Dr. Hill was straight into lunatic mode, which added to the fun as well. It made it this like it made it like even more crazy than before. And Herbert West, he's still a dick.
But you like him
I
more
liked
because you
him-
identify
I liked
with
him
him
a hell of a
now.
lot more than I did in the first one. And considering how much I like this one, it could even rectify my thoughts in the original upon rewatch because of how much I love this one, right? And it will be getting a rewatch because I've just bought the double pack steelbook. I give this film a 9 out of 10.
Wow.
Wow, wow, wow,
Whoa.
wow.
Wow. Okay. I was not expecting
I
that.
fucking loved it so much.
That is a turnaround for the books.
So just
I'm
confirm,
glad
your
we're
still got the
chronicling
third
this.
one in it as well, Paul?
No, it didn't. You can't even get the third one on steelbook. But depending what happens,
You
I'm
can make
surprised
your
you can
own
get the
one.
second one on Steelbook.
the distance between this and the next one, I really don't think the next one's going to be that good. But you never know.
Well, okay, hang on. All right, let's come on. Let's
My
I
housemate
think
has got
we
the
can-
first steelbook, and it's a very nice steelbook.
Is it?
Yeah, there's a Zavvi version, but I got it's a German double pack.
Oh, he's just got the silver one. I don't know what it is, but it's nice.
Nice. Is it me?
Yeah, it's you.
Okay. Couldn't disagree with you more. Within minutes, I realised we were in for a terrible time. There was no explanation for Herbert West being alive, no picking up from where the last film left off, and immediately it looked like a horribly budget straight-to-TV version of Re-Animator. There was nothing culty or kooky about it. It was completely unforgettable. I agree with you, it tried to be much more silly than the first film, but you would think that would make it more fun, but my god, no, not at all. It felt so strained, so over the top, and so cringeworthy. I hated it. From the effects to the plot devices to the dialogue, I didn't dig it at all. Save for a very few moments, I didn't dig it at all. We will go through it, but I agree with you. It makes me appreciate the original even more because of how good that was compared to this. This was 5 out of 10. Bad.
How fantastic. I love how in disagreement we are with all these films.
We flipped the script.
Okay.
Now, I'll be very interested to see where you fall on this.
Okay.
Adam.
I agree with one of you on this, and I'm with Ben.
Of course you are. Go on.
The film opened up. He's back. Different actress playing Meg. Okay, you can kind of get your head around that. It's like, all right, they might explain why he's back halfway through the film, and it's a different actress. Okay, a little bit annoying, but that's probably what happened in those times. Hopefully, the film can redeem itself around
That
it.
wasn't Meg.
We can.
That was a new character.
It was a new character.
Yeah, but then the person who played Meg wasn't in it as well.
Yes,
it was only a heart.
No, there was a person in there played Meg who wasn't Meg.
It wasn't Meg.
No, that person who came into the tent is that woman who appears later in the film.
There was a girl in it called Meg, who's I'm pretty sure was meant to be Meg, and
There was no one.
No,
Meg,
she was
Meg
dead,
was dead,
mate.
and she had a heart, and that's what Herbert stole.
oh really?
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, okay,
yes.
I've got majorly confused, but makes
Now
the
he
film
gives it
even
10
worse.
out of 10.
No, anyway, so yeah, he's back, and you're like, okay, they don't explain it, but we'll just see what happens. It could be like they just move on. They did the South Park thing where Kenny dies and he's back all of a sudden, like. But the film was really boring for an hour as well.
I agree, I
Like
was very
fuck all
bored.
happened. They were just dicking around. Some stuff happened, and then it picked up towards the end. The ending kind of I could get on board with, and it kind of brought back some points. But overall, it was quite boring, quite forgettable, and especially compared to the first one, it was just a bit nah.
How
That's the best way
funny.
to describe this film. Nah.
How funny.
I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10.
Well,
I wonder how we'd feel about it if we saw it in isolation. If it was its own standalone horror film.
I think I'd maybe rate it even less.
I mean, you carry a lot of weight into it. It's interesting that we're doing it this way because we're moving so quickly from the old Re-Animator into this one, so it's very fresh. But everything that I said in the last episode about why I enjoyed Re-Animator, I didn't feel any of that in this.
really.
All the magic
I
was
had
gone.
so much fun with this film. So
Oh,
much.
boy.
I was never bored. As soon as I saw the feet were gone on the ballerina, I was like, holy shit, they are making a person out of different body parts. I was like, this is what I wanted to see. This is really leaning into reanimating a body. It is Frankenstein. It is creating this person, and this is what I wanted to see. This is exactly what I wanted.
But
and then leaning into the craziness, like putting a man's arm on a dog and then putting bat wings on Dr. Hill is fantastic.
But don't you got to say, you were talking about gore and stuff. The first Re-Animator is much gorier. Yes, they used body parts in this, but the effects were not done well. They weren't done well. The first film had good special effects. These special effects were half CGI and just half poorly done. Like that stupid finger and eye thing was so silly. That was just like Thing from the Addams Family.
I would agree that I don't think there was much gore like there was in the first one, but the ingenious of the designs of all these like practical effects I think was so good, and I found it really funny, this film. I was laughing all the way through, and just like the effect of when they're putting the body parts together and the hinges on the body parts, I was like, that's fantastic. It was so well designed.
See, I kind of get it because towards the end it was quite good fun when the guy was flying around on the bat head, like that
I
was quite
fucking
funny, and the
loved
dog
that,
with
mate.
the arm was quite clever, but a lot of it just didn't land for me.
As soon as like when Dr. Graves, he cuts the wings off the bat, which when I was like, oh, that poor bat. But,
I know, that was a good effect.
I know.
That made me cringe for the poor bat, yeah.
But then as soon as I saw him, like he put the head next to the bat, I was like, holy fuck, he's about to put wings on his head.
I mean, that's ridiculous, yeah, because
that's
it's so
why
stupid.
it's so good.
It's because that was so stupid, man.
So good, so good. I fucking loved it. It was so much fun.
Well, I mean, I just generally just thought that it was a lesser film than that first one on every account. I just didn't. I didn't think it had its sense of fun and horror balanced very well. It just felt
really?
like a
I couldn't really remember much of it as well now thinking back to it. Like I only watched it like 2-3 days ago, and yet it's already kind of gone.
It did have a slower, duller pace about it. Like opening up first of all, and in the scene of a war, 8 months later, it's like, this is stupid. It's like, I mean, I'm not looking for it to be realistic, but it was like, I don't care about this immediately. You haven't explained how Herbert West survived that. You left that first film
do you need
on a great
to?
cliffhanger.
Yes.
We even said,
when you leave it on a cliffhanger,
we even said
yes.
you never see him die.
Yeah, but you
assume.
He should have said, "Oh, I got out." He could have at least done a scene where he's like, "Oh, I got out. I cut the
cares?
intestines off.
Why do you
and
want
I
to see that
scrambled
scene?
through." You don't need to, but you could at least explain to him how he got out of
Oh,
that
I'm
situation.
glad he got out of that situation.
No, you
it's just
need
lazy
to.
writing,
No, do you know what
man.
it's like? It's
lazy
like
writing.
if Saw 2 had begun and Adam was just out and they don't even address how he got out of that room and Jigsaw left him to die.
I think it's a very different kind of film than Saw, because Saw's following
yeah,
like a
of course.
serious kind of plot line, where this is just like, what there's a fucking bat wings on a man's head. It's like,
Yeah,
it doesn't
I'm
need
cool
that,
with that,
that
but-
run-through plotline, really.
And that's fine. You can have that silliness, but if you've left the previous film with not only Herbert West presumably dead, but also Dan injecting Meg, which means we're going to see a reanimated Meg, to then drop both of those things, we don't get an explanation for how Herbert West survived, and we don't even see Meg reanimated. There's not even a reference to a reanimated Meg.
I think it kind of gets into it by saying that the hospital was just overrun with these reanimated people, and she was obviously one of those reanimated people, and they just got rid of them and killed
It's
them.
lazy writing, man.
Yeah, I don't think it... Yeah, they didn't handle it well, personally.
Disagree.
It felt very TV movie to me. TV horror movie.
Very Lifetime story.
Yes. It's just like what you'd see on a Lifetime movie.
How do you
Yeah.
how do you want to tackle this? Do you want to run through the film?
Yeah, let's go over
A
it.
brief run through.
Yeah.
We have Dr. Hill's floating head first. Did you like the introduction that Dr. Hill was back?
I did like that, yes. But what I didn't like, and I actually assumed, oh, this must be what Paul wanted, was he wasn't doing that hard breathing that you said you didn't like. He was a bit of it, but not much.
Well, the fact was that in the first film, I had issues with the fact that how did this headless head breathe for its neck, and now it doesn't matter.
How can a guy fly with his ears?
He doesn't. He flies. He's got wings, not his ears.
Yeah, but you can't twitch with your ears.
Listen, just look at Dumbo. Dumbo flies with his ears, so it doesn't matter. Either way,
Yeah, but he also
works.
takes pink juice.
But yeah, as it started, I was like, "Oh no, Dr. Hill's back."
In a point of not liking it.
Yes, I was like, "Oh, well, he's back." That means that it's going to be centered around him again. From the off, I didn't really like him because I was thinking it's going to be overly sexual again.
He only came back because he needed to pay his divorce lawyer's fee.
I know he didn't really have a massive role in the film, did he? Apart from the ending.
He would no, not really at all. It was literally just you got to act with your head.
And then we go to this war-torn Peru 8 months later, and again I was just like, okay, he's just alive again. I was just like that. But then as the film went on, I didn't care. I really didn't care because of how much I was enjoying it.
See, that's the thing. Because because we weren't enjoying it, it was like you needed to.
All those little
explain
things
that.
annoyed, like you annoyed you in the first film. It annoyed
Exactly.
us in
So
this film.
this is like the
Role
tables
reverse.
turn now. Is you instantly when you don't like something, you're instantly picking up the tiny little details you don't like.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to like make a case for how much you hate it, kind of thing.
I was looking forward to it as well because like I really enjoyed the first film and I thought, okay, yeah, it's a second film, but it can't drop off that much, and it just did.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was like, do you know what it's like? It's like a master chef cooks up a meal and then gives you the ingredients and says, go on, you do it now. And it's like all the elements are wrong because Stuart Gordon as director handled Re-Animator well. This Brian Usner, and I know that Brian Usner directs the third film, so I've got no faith in this third film. I don't know what we're going to think of the third film. It's got to be worse than this, which is so... Oh, no. I'm sure this will look classic in comparison.
See, I think the fact that it leans so heavily into the ridiculousness of it all and just having fun with the idea, that is what I look
see, the
for.
funny thing is, that's what you said in the last film. You said you wanted it to be silly, but actually, that made me dislike it, and it made you like it.
Yeah, exactly. That's
But
what
the gore was better in the first one, and you said you wanted over-the-top gore, and you did not get that in this.
Well, when I'm expecting gore, I could also be satisfied with practical effects. And I got so much practical effects in this one.
Practical effects were better in the first one, man.
Yeah, they were 100% better in the first one.
I'm more inventive in this one.
No, just silly. You know what it's like? It's like by committee. It's like, what if the radiator suddenly had hands instead of legs and the hands moved the radiator across the floor? Let's do that. It's like, well, you can do that, but why?
Fantastic. I want to see that. That sounds like some David Lynch shit that you just said.
Well, maybe.
It was so weird with that little hand with the eye on, like when the policeman came and sat down, and they were just like, it was just, it's just weird.
I mean, that was kind of silly with the eye on the fingers and that the finger thing crawling around on the sofa while the cop was there. It was like, what is this, man? This is just silliness.
They're leading into it. It's great.
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with being
that's
silly.
PG comedy. Oh, a little quirky hands crawling around the sofa. Come on.
I enjoyed it.
And then you
That-
just put
because
a
that was
little
our
fucking
fir-
book on it. Bam.
That was our first.
Yeah.
That was our first exposure to what Herbert could do with this technology he has, and he could literally create anything he wants just out of body parts. And that's our first exposure. Just a little fun throwaway one, but then it just gets so much better from there. The dog with the arm. How can you not fucking love that?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was interesting. It was good. Yeah, I did like that stuff. I liked the thought of it. I didn't think they visually did it great as well as they could have.
He just lifts his arm up like he's saluted.
To me, the bat slicing the wings off the bat was the best effect in the whole film, because even though that was clearly a fake bat, the way it was reacting and squealing while those wings were being cut off was making me wince. So that was a good effect. It was really harsh as fuck actually when he sliced those wings off.
Yeah.
But then for Dr. Hill to appear with the bat wings on him later is that's just some silliness, man.
That is fucking brilliant.
It was quite a good fun, that one.
It's brilliant. So let's talk about Dan, right? How
Yeah.
Dan's changed. I thought I enjoyed the way that he kind of went into this kind of creepy doctor. Like this first woman who he's just kind of grown attached to because she reminds him of Meg. Is it Meg?
Yeah.
Why do I keep
Meg.
forgetting her name? And then he's just like, "You look great. I see you even put some makeup on." It's like, what are you fucking talking about? But at this point, right, I was with the film, but I wasn't all the way in. But now, if I watch that again, I'll be like, fucking brilliant. I love that you just said that. I don't know why. It's just so dumb, but it's funny.
It was dumb, mate. That's the thing. See, the thing is, it is dumb, but you liked it dumb and silly, and I
love
hated it dumb and silly.
I know, that's the difference. That's why you guys don't like Bird After Reading. I fucking love dumb shit.
You're right. You're right. That dumb silliness. And you love Jim Carrey's comedies so
Yes,
much, and I just
that's
don't
me.
dig
Yeah, I
them.
get on board with them, but not with this.
But remembering, it depends on what you want to judge this as. If you want to judge this as something to laugh at, or as a horror film that kind of did some cool things with it, which is what Re-Animator did. And if I want to laugh, I'm not going to watch Bride of Re-Animator.
I fucking would. That's why I bought it.
And I thought that there were big homosexual undertones to Dan and West's relationship in this one.
Oh, really?
Big time, yes, multiple times throughout. It was an undertone. Nothing explicit was done. It was the way they behaved around each other. It was like a couple that were devoted not to each other but to a cause. But it reflected like a love. There was something in it, like a soap opera style homoeroticism throughout.
Okay.
100%.
Fair enough.
Paul hates it now, homophobe that he is.
No, I just didn't feel that way. But I think because the way I felt like Dan was like moving so much towards like the patient in the bed and wanted Meg back, and his only driving cause for carrying on with Herbert was the fact that he was about to bring Meg back. And I loved how Herbert had literally transformed into literally a mental doctor, a crazy doctor who. Like when he's downstairs in the basement and he's created this eyeball spider, and Dan's like, I'm moving out. It's like, I'm not staying here anymore. But then he's talking about bringing Meg back. He's like, okay, I'm back on board now, because that's all he wants. He wants Meg back.
Yes. I like that. Yeah, I like that. I like that that's pulled them in. I like that element.
Good.
I quite like the visual of the tubes. There were some things, the visuals that were quite nice, like when at that bit where there were some parts that were laid out, and there were like little tubes of blood that were squirting between all the parts, and then that one tube hadn't been connected to a part, and it was just squirting blood up in the air. That was kind of.
I just love that.
Well done.
I thought the design was great, and even by the end, where it's got like the medical gauze on her, and it's like a wedding dress.
Yeah, that was quite.
I found it so well done.
That's like the only time they mentioned her being a bride, though. Like,
yeah,
apart from
exactly.
That, the whole plot, the title of the film just was nothing.
Yeah, she's a bride in appearance, isn't she? But it's like using that as like a way to show that. I loved it.
Bride of Frankenstein is better.
I haven't seen it.
I mean, it's the concept, which is in Frankenstein. Well, as you know, Frankenstein's monster's built, and then Bride of Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein is compelled to make a bride for Frankenstein's monster, and he does it from different parts of women, and someone that the main character loves, and then she at the end, like the whole last 15 minutes of the film is very Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Like how they put her together, even the lines that they say. You might enjoy Bride of Frankenstein more.
Maybe. Is it really silly and over the top and dumb?
You probably won't like Bride of Frankenstein.
My favourite films are.
Let's talk about Herbert West here, because it was around about this point after he designed the silly hand and stuff, and Dan said to him, let's publish our findings to get grant. We can get the grant funds. And Herbert, Mr. West, is like, they'll never understand, and they'll steal our work. I was like, okay, now tell me, what is his motivation? So in the first film, like I said, I thought he was going to be a villain, and then by the end he was kind of like an anti-hero. He wasn't too bad, but he wasn't good, right? In this film, it was like, okay, now you're kind of playing it that you are a bit of a villain. But was he? What was his motivation? He wanted to essentially be God. He wants to create life.
Yeah, he wants to create. Well, through the film, he didn't perfect it until he created the bride at the end. So he didn't want to start giving the findings out because it's his creation. He wants to create it.
And does he want the innocent to die? That's the thing.
Does he want the innocent to die?
In order to do that.
What do you mean?
Would he be willing for innocent people to die in order for him to just be able to reanimate them?
Oh, probably. He just
He's gone way
kills
too far
people
down
willy-nilly. He just gives that. He's got the heart attack gas or whatever he has that just kills people. I mean, we only
see him use it on the cop, that guy, that Chapman. And funnily enough, because it was at that point when he used that gas on the cop Chapman, yeah, and his heart gave out. I was like, okay, he's intentionally killed someone now. His moral boundaries totally compromised. He's a bad guy. But then as soon as I was like thinking that, his first line was, because he comes back, Chapman comes back, his first line to Dan was, he's a wife beater, Dan, use the gun. It's like, oh, okay, oh, right, he beat his wife, so you were okay to kill him then.
This is why I've always called him a dick, because he is a dick. If he can intentionally kill animals, right? He killed that iguana, had no remorse for it. He killed that cat in the first film, Ben. So let's not get twisted. Okay. He killed the cat. Yeah. He doesn't mind killing people to get what he wants and like progress with his science. And that's just who he is, and he's been that way the whole time.
But we haven't seen him be an outright cold-blooded murderer who just kills people and then goes to reanimate them. Animals, yes, but people, no.
Progression, mate. That's how serial killers start.
Yeah, I know, it's true. But in this film, he's not a murderer in the classic sense of just doing it callously. Like, the only person he actually kills in this film has to be followed up with the line, he's a wife beater, so that we can go, oh, well, morally, maybe you were right to do that.
Well, he probably was.
No, I know he was, because before that, he was like, his wife, the cop's wife was only in the hospital because of all the contusions on her, and like we were forced to piece together, oh, right, the contusions were on her because this guy was beating the shit out of her. So we get to side with Herbert West then. We're certainly not meant to side with that fucking cop.
No, certainly not.
The point that this film lost it for me was the point where Dan suddenly has a moral change of idea, and it's like, I'm moving out, I can't do this anymore, like I need to get away from all of this, like I don't agree with what you're doing. And
but he's always been that way.
Yeah, but it felt like a real suddenly like a click in the film, and it felt a bit off, and I was a bit like, okay, this is where this film is going now. And then Herbert says something to him, and then next thing he's back now, and he's that whole scenario has disappeared, and he's now back on his team.
That's what I said, because Herbert told him that he can bring Meg back, and this is the aim to do so, and he's like, I'm fucking back on board. That's all he wants.
Yeah, but it felt a bit like tonally all over the place, and like they didn't know where they really wanted to go with the film. It was almost like they're just piecing the film together as they go along.
Yes,
so that's why it felt a bit nah.
No, I think he knew what he wanted, and by the end he even had that moral question of, does he really want to, like, Meg's dead. It's like, you
Meg's
can see
dead,
she's
baby.
dead.
Meg's dead.
Meg's dead. I liked the line as well. I've written it down somewhere where Herbert goes past with the wheelchair, and he's got one of the bodies in it, and he says, "Don't let a little head ruin the big head, Dan."
Big head, Dan. I know, fucking. But mate, why did you enjoy this?
Because it's so dumb.
Oh God, why does that mean you should like it?
Because you can enjoy some dumb shit.
Yeah, but that's like me. But you would give me a 9 out of 10 film. Listen, mate, you can go and see any idiots in any pub in this country and say, do you two free people just want to put together a film? And they'll go, oh, what about if we walk down the pub and one of us goes, I'll have a pint, and you say, what? A pint of piss? Oh, you didn't specify, and then laugh at that, and then the audience laughs at that, and you go, it's so dumb. It's so dumb.
That doesn't sound enjoyable to me. It's
mate,
being
that's the
creative.
kind of film you love.
It's being creative with it.
You love those films.
Paul, do you reckon you also like this film more because you knew what you're getting yourself in for?
Ah, interesting.
So that's what I feel. So watching Re-Animator in a way set me up to enjoy this film, but at the same time,
I feel like you've got what the tone of the film is now, and you're ready to roll with it now going into this film. Whereas I think your big problem with Re-Animator was that you didn't like the film, you just weren't ready for it, and maybe by the time you'd kind of come round to what the film was over.
No, it's because I wanted it, just like this film, I wanted it to go further with the idea of it, and that's what this film did.
Yeah, but it didn't go further in the way you were talking about in the first film, though.
Yeah, because I thought when I say wanting gore and stuff, I want really good practical effects.
Which you got in the first film rather than this film.
Which I got in this film, which is experimental and great ideas and ways to use practical effects.
It was very cheaply executed in this film, though. Like, yes, okay, you can put an arm. It was. You can put an arm on a dog, right? The effect of the arm on the dog was basic compared to the effects that you saw in that first film, just of that cat being reanimated.
I think the cat just looked basic as well.
Not by comparison.
The dog was actually a real dog. That wasn't a real cat.
Yeah, it's just because you got a real dog. Yeah, exactly. So it's more impressive because you had a real dog, so you didn't have to do no effects on that. And then you just string a fucking plastic arm around its neck, and suddenly that's wonderful.
Fantastic, of course it is.
Low-hanging fruit, mate. Low-hanging fruit. Easy to please is what I should say.
Well, I was very much pleased with this.
You were very easy to please in this. This terrible director, Brian Usner, has got you in the palm of his fucking hand. Stuart Gordon is weeping that you didn't love his magnus opus, the first film.
He just didn't do it well enough, did he? He watched Brain Dead and was like, this is what people love, so let me give it to them. Let me make Bride of Re-Animator.
Yeah, they're on different levels of it, but...
And you know, I mean,
I love chaos, and this felt like a bit of chaos, and I like that.
Chaos is fine as long as it's sort of, you know, good chaos. You can't just throw loads of paint at a canvas and go, that's wonderful.
People do though.
Yeah, people do.
And then people go, that is wonderful. Doesn't matter how it was created.
True. Do you want to be one of those people?
I say I am one of those people. Apparently, if you say so.
Yeah, you love modern art. Oh, look at that! Wonderful. It's a purple. It's true. This film is just a purple.
I wouldn't say this is modern art. I'd say something pretentious would be modern art, but this isn't pretentious in any way.
No, true. That whole body in the wheelchair thing was very Weekend at Bernie's, where they like whack some sunglasses on.
Oh yeah, yeah. I did.
I got traipsing around.
I did think that as well. Yeah, as soon as they put those sunglasses on.
Oh,
it's fun.
Yes, I suppose you could consider it fun, and I have no doubt that some people would find it fun. I've got to say, like, really, imagine Prince Charles. We've had this conversation before. If the Prince Charles Cinema was gonna throw on a movie night, and you wanted to go for like the thrills and the laughs and enjoyment factor, and they were like, okay, tonight Re-Animator, tomorrow Bridal, if you can only go to one, I'd be going to see Re-Animator, man. Visually it would be more spectacular. I'd be more caught up in it. I wouldn't be bored. I would love to see the effects. I would love to see some of the reveals.
That's the difference between us, mate. I disagree.
And you would go to see Bride of Re-Animator because
I was bored in Re-Animator. I thought it was very slow.
I would love for you to re-watch Re-Animator again now.
I will do.
You'll like it more now.
I reckon at the end of the year you might boost it up when you get to change one of your little reviews. I reckon.
I don't think I would put it any higher than a 7. If it doesn't,
you probably will lift it then.
You look back and think a 6 is harsh.
Yeah,
but still, I'm still cringed out by how overly sexual it was, and Dr. Hill licking her boobs and going down.
I agree.
Yeah, of course
that's
it is.
Very memorable.
It's not, like that, but
You can enjoy Dr. Hill being outrageously perverse, and I'll just laugh at the dog with the arm on.
You know what's interesting is when you said about Dr. Hill being perverse, it made me think of Devil's Rejects, right? And the sort of almost sexual torture that goes on in that motel room, which is harrowing to watch, but you accept that it's part of the story and that it works as part of the story. It's what gives it such an intense, insane element. But Devil's Rejects is to Re-Animator what House of a Thousand Corpses is to Bride of Re-Animator. That's the difference in tone for me. House of a Thousand Corpses, fine, but very silly by comparison. Whereas Devil's Rejects much more intense, and that's what was the case here. Re-Animator was intense. Bride of was like, and now let's lose the intensity and go for silly.
I think they're very, very different films.
Yeah, they are.
Re-Animate, they're intentionally slightly comedy, right? Where Devil's Rejects, I don't think there's comedy in that. You might be able to find enjoyment.
I'm not saying they're a direct comparison, but in terms of their relationship to each other as sequels in the same series of films, the difference between House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects, I would say, is the same difference between Re-Animator and Bride of Re-Animator in terms of tone.
I would agree as well, but I'd say Bride of Re-Animator is my Devil's Rejects.
It's definitely not.
It's obviously not, because Devil's Rejects is a masterpiece. It's a 10 out of 10 film.
you only gave this a 9 out of 10.
I know, but
I'm so surprised. I was so sure that I was so sure we were all going to be unanimous on yeah, this was a piece of shit.
I actually really thought that Adam wasn't going to like it, and you were going to really like this one.
Nah. I was off it very early on. After those first 15-20 minutes, I was like, right, I've taken against this. And as it went on, I was against it. But there were moments.
Maybe you won't like Brain Dead.
No, I don't think I will, mate. I didn't like that fucking Bad Manners. So
don't even compare it to Bad Manners, because people love Brain Dead and people don't love Bad Manners. So.
Well, now knowing what you know about me, and there isn't a silly horror film that I can think of that I like.
You're just a very serious person.
Very serious man, Coen Brothers. And then that ending it kind of lifted it a little bit. Actually, it redeemed itself with that last 15 minutes, I would say. There was some entertainment. I've got to go and get this.
Doorbell.
Talk amongst yourself. Keep going.
Yeah, the last 15 minutes is where it got its points back for me. It would probably have been like a 5, maybe a 4 if it wasn't for the last 15. And it's a 6, maybe a 7, but I don't think I could warrant it being a 7.
I did notice I had a look on Letterboxd to see what some people that I follow had said, and I did notice that Becky Dark of Filmbusters fame,
she loves this as well, doesn't she?
She liked it very much, yes, she said that the ending really redeemed it, and it's like, well, I guess.
How much did it redeem it because to give it a 9 out of 10?
And it definitely didn't lift it for me. It wasn't a 4 for me beforehand. I never went that low, and to be honest, maybe I was on a 6 for most of the film, but by the end I had to.
I was probably on
an
8, and then when they reanimated the bride, I was like, "This is amazing."
The concept, I think, if you hadn't seen Bride of Frankenstein, perhaps that's why it worked a little bit more. But in Bride of Frankenstein, that's exactly what happens, and they realise it's a monstrosity thing, and she hates what she is. The bride does, and in fact, Bride of Frankenstein ends better because then Frankenstein's like, "We belong to be dead. We're abominations," and kills them both. And I was hoping, before seeing this film, I was hoping that Dan and Meg were going to be the main characters, and that Meg was going to have been that zombie bride all the way through, reanimated bride, and then Dan was going to die and be reanimated, and it was going to go that route.
Yeah, that's what we thought, didn't we?
But instead they went this silly one.
I wanted to see
let's ignore everything.
Do the president. If they had reenacted the president, they could have got away with a lot more in this film.
So how did this film end? It was so crap. I can't remember how it actually ended.
So the whole
it was a heart,
house collapsed in on him, and they escaped through the grave.
And then she dies, and then her heart's lying on the table, still beating.
And it stops beating.
I think it was still beating, wasn't it?
I didn't really see a beat.
Maybe it's like the spinning top in Inception. Nobody really knows.
So we're looking at, in terms of a third film now, in terms of a setup
for a third
film, there's nothing. No, exactly. It didn't matter what happened at the end of this, because they could have just changed everything for this next installment.
Like they did for the first, they did for the last one.
I
it
think
depends who wants to come back for it.
it's
Yeah.
it's over 10 years difference as well, so it's a very big gap. So I don't think it's going to carry on that in sync with this one.
I've got a feeling we're only going to have Mr. West back for the third.
I feel like that as well.
I think we're going to lose Dan. Dr. Hill, do you reckon we'll get a Dr. Hill? His head?
Oh, is he still alive?
Doesn't matter, he's a head. He can come back.
Oh yeah, true. This is what I really hope for. What I really hope they don't do is going into early 2000s with a lot of CGI.
I was literally just about to say the same thing. I just hope they keep some of the practical effects. They did start to go down that route in this one.
Yeah. They went half and half in this one with the practical and the CGI. Sometimes practical. The floating head was too CGI in this one. Like, as silly as it was in Re-Animator to have Dr. Hill's body holding his head, and it's clearly just the actor bent over halfway down the coat. I like that because it's like it's practical and it gives me the sense that it's actually happening.
Who cares? Like,
Whereas in
you
this,
can let
floating,
stuff like that go.
Yeah. I like the ruggedness of those practical things, and this just went a little. Yeah.
Also, when the doctor was injecting his head when he was coming back to life, he was going more, and then he injects it, and he goes so past the head, he does it like round the back of the head.
I know, but they did that in the first one as well. Everyone was so terrified of potentially injecting people.
They probably used real syringes.
We didn't say this last time, but the serum is made from glow stick content.
I was
That's
thinking
what the
that.
serum is.
That explains it.
Yeah,
'Cause
makes
like, how do they
sense.
get it to light up like that?
I know, it's a very cool effect, I've got to say. I do like that effect. And I do like, as much as I didn't like this film, I have enjoyed the two Re-Animator films as a sort of package.
Yeah.
Enough to be like, okay, let's see what this third one's going to bring
Yeah,
about.
definitely.
Is it
This
better
has
than
been a
when you
good
watch
pick.
all the Sharknadoes?
100%, yeah. 100%.
Horrible stuff. Wouldn't want to watch that.
Don't ever do that again, you mental midget.
You stupid biped.
Yeah, I know, he was saying some terrible stuff. No wonder he put an apple in his mouth and threw him in the bin. I was like, what are you doing, man? You think this disembodied head just being thrown in the bin is going to be cool?
Do you know what I really enjoyed as well? When like it all kicked off in the house at the end, and the policeman smashes through the window, and he's
he's got
holding
his badge.
police badge,
Yeah, I did like that. That was good, yeah.
and he looks so out of it. It's like blood running down his face.
See, if looking back on this whole film, if they had taken a more serious tone, or not like dead serious, I mean, if they'd approached it in the same sort of way they had the first Re-Animator, where when crazy things were happening, they were reacting more like, fucking hell, this is happening, as opposed to, oh, now here's some fingers with an eye walking around, and now here's a bat with wings, I would have dug it. But it was more like, oh yeah, anything can go, and we're just going to move on as if that's just part of this world now.
I can't enjoy that. I like I got another line that I wrote down as well, where it's all going wrong, and the head's coming off the bride, and he's like, "Make a note of it, Dan. Tissue rejection."
Oh yeah, that was funny.
All this stuff's happening. It's like, focus on what's happening right now, Herbert.
Yeah, that was funny actually.
So do you reckon Herbert's dead this time then?
So did he die? What happened?
He got crushed in the temple
whole house
bit, didn't
fell
he?
down on him, and it went down.
So
all his
everyone should be
creations.
dead. Dan as well.
He was
no,
brought
Dan
down.
survives.
He
Dan
escaped out
does.
into the little graveyard,
With-
didn't he? And he
yeah,
climbed
with
into
the
that
Italian-
little,
the
whatever you want to call
Italian
it.
Well, Herbert West is coming back,
Yeah.
They'll just bring him
and
back.
they won't
without
explain
explaining
it exactly.
He'll have
Yeah.
a brick in his head, and they won't explain how the brick's in his head, and they'll just move around. Like
If they had a brick, if they started it with half a brick lodged into his head, I'd be like, I am down for this film. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. If you can pull this off. Do you know what I thought your question was going to be for the quiz this week, Paul?
What was it?
I thought you were going to ask each of us, I don't know how you would have done it, to name as many where the different body parts came from the bride as possible.
Okay.
One was
So-
a lawyer.
we had the bride's feet, we had the ballerina's feet,
Ballerina's
the
feet,
legs
yeah.
of a whore, wasn't it?
Yes.
One hand
was
was a
weird.
lawyer.
Well,
Hand
one
from a lawyer. And
The other hand was
the groin of a virgin.
I thought it was the body of a virgin, wasn't it?
it was the torso of a
maybe.
virgin, and then the other hand was a sculptor,
Yeah.
and then the legs were a prostitute on the street.
Yeah, we did that one.
Yeah.
It's very weird to put a prostitute's legs on it.
I
The way
know.
he said
It's
it.
like, yeah, why do you want a prostitute's legs?
Because he said she can wrap them around you.
Yeah,
Like,
but surely you want a virgin.
Yeah, well, you got the virgin torso.
What do I want? What's a virgin torso going to do? virgin's got nothing to do with the torso.
Well, it's the lower parts of the torso as well. The prostitute
No,
just had the leg
I believe
parts.
the legs. I believe the legs were connected to the hip bone, and the hip bone's connected to the virgin.
Why would? Yeah, but it had to be the torso.
Fucking hell, man.
Had
They
to
should
be
have
the
had him
virgin.
singing that song while he was stitching it together.
Otherwise, there'd be no point calling her a virgin.
Like a virgin.
Yeah, they should have had Madonna. They should have been playing Madonna as well. See all these tricks now. That silliness I could have leaned into, Paul.
Like a
If they
Like
had
a
Madonna's "Like a
Virgin."
Virgin" playing while he was stitching her together, I could lean into that and go, "Okay, that's good." But so you must agree, there's degrees of silliness, and I get that silliness can make things enjoyable. But for me, the silliness needs to be quite well crafted,
I agree.
and this was not.
for me, this was.
Well, good. I'm glad.
Yeah. I see.
Well-
I'm a big fan of like Naked Gun and all stuff like that, where it's just so
but
silly.
I like Spoos. Naked Gun's kind of fine, but I like Airplane more. But I don't like too much. Like for me, best comedy, best examples of comedy are something like With Nell and I.
Yeah, see, and that doesn't work with me.
I know, but that's because you are very simpleton.
I like the simple jokes. It's
I'm
because
not offending
my brain is so like complex that
That's
I need
true.
just the easy stuff to make me laugh. Like,
It's true,
this is so
yeah.
dumb.
You've got so much going on in your brain
But
that you just need the absolute pap
Yeah, you need to absorb the smart comedy just to.
to feel smart. It's true. Yeah, it's absolutely true.
Adam just doesn't need anything.
I don't need anything. I'm happy with the two of you.
All right, everyone, we took a little break there. Our total score was 20, average 6.7. We've only got two other films on 6.7. They are Eraserhead and Martyrs. We all completely disagreed about where it should place, so we went bang in the middle, and it will go Eraserhead, then Bride of Re-Animator, and then Martyrs.
Wow.
Sits below Re-Animator, which is as it should be.
That's fine. It's not for everyone. It's just for me.
It's not for everyone.
I
Where
like
did
the fact
Re-Animator
that it's
place?
just for me.
Well,
You and Becky.
Me and Becky.
yeah. Yes, I'm glad that's for you. You can keep it with all my love. I will never watch that again. Didn't like
That's
it.
fine. That's fine.
I look forward to going back to the first
what
one. though.
if you absolutely love this third one? Would you watch this trilogy?
No, well, maybe, depending on how connected it is, but based on the way that this barely connected to the first one,
What if
probably
it
not.
starts with a waving dog?
I would say this is some stupid ass shit.
What if it started with a waving cat?
Then I'm down.
Fantastic.
I'll say hello, Rufus. So there we go.
Right, should we move on to what our patrons have to say this
Yes.
week? So, just so everyone knows, our patrons give us suggestions. They're like our viewership to listen to, or to watch, and what they want us to watch as well. And if you want to become a patron, you can also become a patron at www.patreon.com/filmbusters. Right, first up, we have Julio from The Contrarians. He said, "Oh, I watched a documentary about the making of that final Orson Welles movie. The doc is called They'll Love Me When I'm Gone, and it's on Netflix along with the movie itself, The Other Side of the Wind. Haven't seen Wind yet, but the documentary is fascinating, and in my opinion, paints Welles as an abusive pain in the arse, even as it's meant to praise how much of a genius he was. Also, finally got around to Capote. Is it Capote?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah,
Capote.
Capote. It was fine. Worth it for Philip Seymour Hoffman's performance, but it'll put you to sleep if you're not careful. I agree with that, Capote. I didn't like it.
I haven't
a
seen
very
it.
long
I've got it
time
on my
ago.
list to watch at some point, but
I've watched the other one, which I can't remember what it's called, but Tobe Hooper. Is that his name? Not Tobe Hooper, that's the bloody director of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Toby Jones.
Toby Jones, yeah.
Toby Jones is in it, and Daniel Craig's in it, and I really like that, but I haven't seen
Okay.
Philip Seymour Hoffman play the role.
I mean, it's been a long time, so it might change my opinion. I don't know.
Well, Toby Jones was very solid.
Well, and how about Orson Welles? What do you think?
I've seen the documentary he's on about it. It's quite fascinating. It kind of gives you an insight into, like, obviously why he made the biggest film probably in cinema history, and then kind of like faded away almost. Like in that era afterwards, you kind of thought like he should have gone on to storm Hollywood and like have it in the palm of his hand, but he didn't. So and it kind of paints a picture as to why. I haven't seen the film again that they talk about in it, but yeah, it's interesting. I'd recommend it as a watch, but
Okay.
Even if you don't like, I'm not terribly interested in Orson Welles. Like, I don't really care for Citizen Kane either. But yeah, it's just interesting to see, well, one of the greats of Hollywood and why he is renowned in the way he is.
Interesting.
He's a massive blind spot for me. I don't think I've seen anything to do with him yet. So, like, I just don't know anything about his work.
Fair enough.
I've only seen Citizen Kane and Third Man.
And that was enough.
And that was enough for me.
Next up, we have Jamie, or Jamie Russell, as he's commonly known as in these parts. He said, just finished watching Nomadland and thought it was fantastic. Yes, it won't be in everyone's taste, but I found it a poignant and beautiful created film that quietly expresses its emotions. McDormand is fantastic, and the cinematography is breathtaking in places.
Well, Paul, you're the only one of us who's also seen that.
It's a fine 7. That film.
See, I kind of feel like it's going to be in that realm of just being okay. Like,
yeah, I
was
agree.
quite excited for it, but I think what I've heard about it what I've kind of grasped from then on was it's just going to be like, okay, that was a nice film.
What makes me think that I won't like it so much is McDormand, not because I don't dislike her as an actress, I like her, but I get the impression that she's just going to play quite a blank canvas character, not expressing too much personality throughout, which is what's potentially going to isolate me.
I could agree with that. Yeah,
there you go. That means she does,
yeah.
eh?
Yeah. She's very, yeah. I'll let you guys watch it if you
I'll watch it.
I
It's
won't
on
say
Disney,
much.
so it's quite an easy place to watch, isn't it?
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
Very good. Okay, thanks, Jamie. And then lastly, we have Katie Anoti. Strong recommendation to watch that damn Michael Che. Che or Che, I don't know. Sketch shows can be a bit hit and miss, but each episode is succinct and hilarious. Strength of humour is truth, and Che delivers. I don't know this Michael Che.
I've never heard of
Is
it.
he an actor, a comedian? Is he like Chappelle?
They always come out with the obscure stuff, these people at For Your Reference, don't they?
Yes.
I don't know this obscure stuff. Let's quickly find out who Michael Che is here. Michael Che.
She wasn't very happy with you the other week, was she? The stuff you mentioned about, was it Snowfall?
Yeah.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah.
After my comments on the last episode about not digging Snowfall so much, and I did it unintentionally on the week that they released their Snowfall episode. There was no shade thrown from my behalf, but it seems like I was a little bitch. It seemed like a real bitch move from me.
Very terrible.
She was not.
No,
best
Michael
pleased.
Che, he I believe is a writer, has been a writer on Saturday Night Live for years and years, and this appears to be like,
His
from
breakout.
what I can see, his first thing.
Okay.
Well, we'll have to see where we can find him. Sounds good.
Cool. Well, that was our Bride of Re-Animator episode.
2.
We're 2 through the trilogy. We got 1 more next time.
One more. Beyond Re-Animator.
Wow, Beyond Re-Animator.
Beyond.
Is it an 11-year difference between the films, something like that?
Okay.
Is it the film when Herbert West will actually die?
Maybe they die and he doesn't explain it, but they don't make a 4th one, so he's actually just dead.
Will he bring himself back?
My prediction is that he is, because of the big time difference, my prediction is that he's going to be reformed. He's left the medical world. He doesn't do that anymore. And he's going to be in some sort of environment where someone around him makes him think about it again. And then he goes off the deep end and does it.
Okay.
But he'll basically be reformed and then do it again.
I feel like he's already going to be in mad scientist mode, and he's just been doing it this whole time.
Or he's gone ultra crazy and like he's lived into a castle on top of a big mountain and there's always raining above his castle and he's just gone completely crazy.
Well, they've got no Frankenstein to base it on this time. If Re-Animator was Frankenstein and this was Bride of, there isn't a third Frankenstein movie for this to base itself off of. So,
What is beyond Re-Animator? So what's beyond reanimation?
Maybe he's killing, I don't know,
if you're not
reanimating people.
If you're not bringing people back from the dead and you're not creating life from scratch entirely, maybe it's injecting wombs with that serum.
No shit.
But to be fair, this film had nothing to do with the Bride of Re-Animator until quite towards the end, so who knows?
Well, there was plenty of glow stick serum.
Oh yes, there was a lot of glow stickness.
What do they call it? What's the word he uses for it? The something agent?
Reanimation.
Yeah.
The something
Reanimation
agent.
agent?
No. What is it? The something agent.
Reagent.
Reagents, of
Yes.
course. If we're reanimating, we're reagenting.
Yes, that's it.
Well, this has been fun so far, boys. I've enjoyed talking about the first 2.
I like how different our opinions are in it.
Yeah, I know, wildly. So hang on a minute. So today the overall score was 20. For Re-Animator, the overall score was 22. So do we think the third one can beat 20? In order to beat 20, we'd have to give it
I feel
like-
averages of
This
7
is like
each.
Come Dine With Me, but of the animated film.
Yeah. Is the third going to be the best?
I don't think so.
You live your terrible little life.
Mate, if you'd asked me before this episode, I thought this was going to be one of our lowest rated films. Your 9 threw the whole thing out
There you
for
go.
me. So I don't know what's going to happen with this third.
I can't wait.
Can't wait to find out. And all of you can find out when you join us in a continuation of Re-Animator.
Re-Animate. Oh yeah, just so everyone knows, it is May, because if you're not in the month of May, that is why we've done Re-Animator.
Yes,
So-
we keep trying to make Re-Animator a thing. I don't know
Yes.
if it's been a thing yet. We won't know till this is released to the world. Maybe everyone's saying it.
Maybe already.
Everyone's talking about Re-Animator. All the actors are like,
They're
oh
gonna
shit, this
rename the
podcast has
whole
come
of
out.
May.
It's a comeback.
We haven't even released
Yes.
the podcast yet, and we're talking about that.
Imagine we spurred on the 4th Re-Animator film.
Wouldn't that be wonderful? Do you think we could do you think we could reach out to the actor who plays Herbert West to talk to him on a Patreon
we
special?
gotta try. Should we try?
Yes.
Tales Master.